Hi, so I thought I would record this before I actually sat down to do the editing, mainly because I could not get it up to edit this video, considering the emotional process we went through trying to record it. The technology and equipment failed like 3 times, and then eventually Kariithi and I were just like, you know what? The universe has spoken. Clearly, the crimes of the Moi government are not supposed to be spoken about, because even we tried. Anyway, so essentially we had a bit of trouble because the equipment failed and I don't know how it's going to turn out, so I'm just recording this as a heads up and also as a thank you so much for bearing with me. I am still very new to the podcast game, even though I have been recording this podcast for like 2 years, and I'm still learning, still growing, still getting better. Yeah, also, if you haven't noticed, I have been not in my usual environment. I'm in someplace new. That also explains why the video is also going to be a bit late. I apologize for that. This is just the first time I've had the presence of mind to sit down to edit this podcast. So here you go. Hope you enjoy. And in advance, thank you for bearing with. Okay, bye. Hi, ho, hello, and okay, hang on, wait.
You see, you didn't tell me how the camera is faced. You didn't tell me how the camera is.
What do you want me to do?
You are the crew and the co-star. You have to do everything.
Sorry, co-star.
Co-star.
Oh, co-star.
Co-star, not the co-star, the co-star. That may piss you off because I know you think you're the superstar of your own thing. But guess what? I just have to ask you one question. When was the last time you recorded a podcast by yourself? She's scared because there's a wasp. Those are God's creatures. Don't fight them and they won't fight you.
Okay, the last time I recorded alone was probably the beginning of the year.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look how amazing of a what would you call me?
Right now, a pain in the ass, but hell.
This podcast is over.
Yeah, walk away.
How do I walk away out of my own house, Aileen? How do I walk away out of my own house? You can't tell me walk away. When I'm saying I'm out, it means you get out.
No, but why would I leave? I get that this is not my house, and I get that my house is over there. Mm-hmm. But
she's saying over there like she's next door. She lives 10 kilometers away.
No, actually, it's 6. 5.94 from literally my gate to your door.
Why are you telling people you have a gate and I have a door? See, I also have a gate.
Okay, fine. From my door to your door. Happy now? Happy.
What? Your gate to my gate. Why can't you say that?
Because we...
We're living in a compound, Aileen. I would do nothing but that for my wife. Nothing but the best.
Okay, thank you so much for... I don't even know what the fuck that was. But hi! Hello, and welcome back to the podcast, guys. I'm really trying to, my hair is not green anymore. It's blue, and I'm loving it, but you can't see it because it's a dark blue. I'm so excited.
She painted her black hair dark blue.
Yes, it's gorgeous.
Is it?
Yes. It's like a little mystery.
Could you believe that?
Yeah, it's because sometimes what I low-key want is that when people look at my hair just to wonder, is that black? No, is it okay.
I will
go through that journey.
I will say you don't look bad. Yeah. There you go. This is as far as I can go.
Thank you.
Till my efforts get in place, but as far as I can go. Tell you don't look bad. Your hair looks fine.
Oh my goodness, that actually is a compliment coming from you.
But you need to, change up a few things.
Like what?
You can't record every podcast with shades in your head.
First of all, who is the one sitting in the sun?
Always the time with shades.
Who is the...
So then put the
what
shades...
What is this?
What is this? Put the shades on your face then.
I got them fixed.
If you need them. Kwani they were broken?
Yes, they broke in Mombasa. Mm-hmm. I couldn't wear them for a while. I had to wear these other ones. This is such a champagne problem.
You know something that happened to Aileen recently? Someone else wore those things And everybody accepted they looked better than that
Wow,
person.
he looked so good.
And she still
So
refused to
good.
give him
No,
those
in
things.
fact, I was hyper vigilant. I knew where my shades were at every minute from that point.
When
I
he
was
stood
like,
up
nah,
and he
they're
was
not-
like, I'm taking my Uber going home.
I was like, okay,
She's
thank
like,
you,
hi,
Dad.
Killer, thank you for my glasses back. Why are you doing that?
Because they're mine. They're
She
mine.
gave them to him.
No.
How much were they?
I got them for free.
Look at that.
But that's all the more reason for them to stay with me. The
Were they
universe wanted
a
me
gift
to
for
have
free?
them.
Were they a gift for free, or you got them for free? There were someone's and
Yes.
you took charge.
No.
of them.
No. Technically, what happened was, I was at a studio where those glasses were. I pointed to them. I'm like, oh, whose glasses are these? They're really nice. And the guy looks at them and is like, oh, actually, I don't know whose glasses
Yes,
these
I remember
are.
this.
Would you want them? And I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, they've been here a while. The guy didn't come back. Do you want them? I was like, yes. Thank you very much.
So why can't you do that down? It's called giving down.
Because these are my sunglasses.
Buy new ones.
With what money?
Then the places you're into in the next few years are dreary, dark, cold, rainy.
And I will still wear my sunglasses.
You're watching the raindrops with
Yes.
the lens of the sunglasses.
You know what? Sometimes you want a bit of like mood lighting, and the sunglasses really give you that like the vibe of you're sad, you're depressed.
People put these glasses on their face for mood lighting.
Yes.
That's why I wear glasses all the time. For mood lighting.
Okay, take off your glasses.
You think I can't see?
Okay, what number is this?
What up? That's the middle finger. Think I can't see that? Relax.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. What number is this?
5. What's wrong with you? I can see.
I forget. I have to be standing all the way over there. You can see this distance.
No, my glasses are for sure. They're for sure. I can see. Very well. Like it would be to read this.
It
Chicken
says
and
salt.
salt. See?
Actually, now that you've seen my drink today, as you notice, I am getting a little drinky drink today. KO. Thank you so much. It's actually delicious.
Do you know what
and
she
no,
did to
I'm
me?
not being branded or sponsored by them.
You know what she did to me? She came to my house with one can of KO, and then she tells me that, oh, by the way, I have 4 cans. So she could have come with the 4 cans. We finished them. I even reimbursed her for them, but no, she came with the one
sure
can.
if you wanted to drink. Like I didn't think that far.
Messages. This is
Okay,
something
fine.
called
You
a
know
phone.
what? I'm sorry for not considering you in my planning. That was very selfish of me. And in the future, I shall endeavor to be a better friend the next time I'm in your house.
All is forgiven.
Thank you. Okay, anyway, so yeah, I'm drinking a KO cider, but I also have my tea.
Peppermint green tea.
Green tea and mint.
Same thing.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so the reason why I've called you here today, I've summoned you to your own house, is today I want to talk about torture.
Yay.
So, Kariithi, what do you think about torture? How do you feel about it? You a fan?
Torture
Not a fan.
is not good.
That's it? That's all you have to say?
I mean, it's...
Like, obviously it's not... Okay, should I say obviously? Because it's not obvious, because we keep doing it.
It is obvious.
But we keep doing it.
Yeah,
So
because...
clearly it serves a
No,
purpose.
there's a difference between it being good and it getting results. Those are two different
Okay,
things.
but what kind of results does it get?
Information. There's 2 reasons you torture, in my opinion. One is to torture for information.
Okay.
So, for example, why do they have, and why does it still exist, that thing called Guantanamo Bay?
Because Americans, like...
Because they believe in the effectiveness of torture.
But torture doesn't work.
It works.
It doesn't work.
No, it works.
It doesn't
You get
work.
information. You may not, and if the importance is how you connect the information. So you torture one to collect information. So like in the intelligence field, they have accepted that torture is just a means to an end. But it's not a good thing.
Okay, but like, I don't know about you, right? But if I'm being tortured, I will say whatever the fuck I need to say to make it stop.
Yeah.
Right? And if you don't accept that I know nothing, if you, the torturer, genuinely believes that I am hiding something and I'm just refusing to say it,
It's just a
at some
consequence
point
of action.
you just make something up
It's a
just to
consequence.
get it to stop.
It's a consequence. But you can verify. That's why you keep them in jail as you're torturing them. So you go verify what they're doing and bring them back. I mean, I'm not saying this is good. I'm just saying this is what they do.
I mean, I would have said
It's like, for example, you know that if you kidnap an American op, no, I'm just saying like a person who's an intelligence officer, they will never, or it will take a very long time for them to admit that they work for the intelligence office. But you push them enough, you start to break down their answers. So you start to realize, oh, you said this, but now you're saying this. And you know, yeah, those spies, some of them, you do get the information. Some of them are kept for like 6 years.
Okay, but it's torture.
Yeah.
Like, that's never good.
No, I didn't say it's good. I said it works.
But even if it works, the fact that it's not good means that maybe we shouldn't be doing it to other people.
We shouldn't. You should never torture someone. But in that world, that's an option. When the stakes are that high, for those people, it's an option. But right now, I'm watching something. It's called Spy Ops. And you're just realizing that, yeah, when it comes to interests, by the way, that thing called morality is a hindrance.
But like, okay, here's where it breaks down for me. As Jesus said, do unto others as you want done unto yourself. Right? So if you are willing to torture people, then it says that is something that you're willing to accept for yourself and people that you consider to be part of your group.
It's something you're willing to endure.
I'm not willing to endure it.
That's
like,
why.
Personally,
that's
I'm
why
like,
you're
no.
not in the game at all. But those people in the game, you never realize that to them,
I mean, you're not wrong.
Me torturing them, and it's just my job. And if I was in their circumstance, they do the same thing. They only have those rules. Their rules are you stay away from family as much as possible and stay away. It's literally just family, really.
Okay.
That's the only torture that's unacceptable to those people.
Okay, fine. So
I was saying there's two. So there's the torture for information, and the second one is the torture for fear.
I was gonna say
suppression.
Torture for fear makes a lot more sense.
Really?
Yeah.
So
because torture in and of itself,
acid showers, those made sense.
Basically, yeah. If you're torturing people because you want to torture them, right? The goal is torture, not to extract information, not to reinforce your regime.
You break them down.
But to just fuck with them. Like, that is the point. Then it works.
It doesn't.
It works because it's torture.
Yeah, but like, look at those societies. Look at the societies that have experienced torture.
Like, for example, like Nelson Mandela, right? Even if, like, he must be a really emotionally healthy person to react to his experience on Robben Island the way that he has. Right, but he's even if he seems like he's dead. Even if he seemed like a well-adjusted person, he still went through those 26 years. Yeah, he will have always gone through those 26 years, and that changed him. And he will have always been changed. And I think that's the point. Like, if the point of torture is to torture, is to create fear. The point of torture is to torture. Yeah, like not to extract information, but literally just to torture. Have fun. Yeah. Like to make it an art, because there's an art to torture. Like, I think, to paraphrase one of my old bosses, torture should be like music. There should be a rise and a fall. It's true. And you've heard stories of like people in the past, like literally doing research on people and other things to figure out what are the best tools of torture. And it's a whole thing. Okay, and we're back. Somebody is very popular today. It's not me, it's him. And I'm very salty about it. Yeah, she likes being the busy one. Yeah. She's the busy one of the relationship. Yeah. And now she's feeling bad because the dynamics are changing. Yeah. And her man's is making money. Say yes again. Anyway, so we were kind of in agreement on this. Like, the torture serves a purpose. Yes. But that purpose is not a good thing. Never for good. And I don't think any person torturing is like, I'm doing this for good. No, I think you have to. Because human beings are... you think you're doing it for... What's that thing called? That greater good? Yeah. But you're not doing a good thing. But the fact you're telling yourself, I'm doing this... For the greater good. For a greater purpose. Yeah. You do it. I mean, there are some people that enjoy it. Right? Those are ideally the people you'd want to find. Yeah, narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths, surgeons, maybe. If they got the opportunity to be licensed torturers, like, my job is to torture. Like, I'm pretty sure Assad's looking for some new people. Yeah, life is like a box of chocolates, you know. You never know what you're gonna find. Wow. So, how long do you think you'd endure torture for? Oh my God. 30 seconds.
Me, 4 weeks.
Even that's being like quite generous. I feel like I would enjoy the psychological and the mental torture more than the physical, because I have a very low threshold. On the off chance that somebody that deems me important enough to torture, here's a playbook.
Just put a pin on her face and she'll say
Nah,
everything.
it's good. It's cool.
She'll sing like a bird.
Over there and there and there and there. This is where all the accounts are. But like I feel like I could endure mental, psychological for a lot longer.
Me, 4 weeks, whichever. 4 weeks.
I'm saying that knowing full well that like solitary confinement is a form of torture.
Yes.
And I could not.
It's a licensed torture in the US.
Yeah, I could not do that because I feel like COVID was kind of like was nothing like that.
Do you know?
But it was also
the way I think I would endure solitary confinement is like for the fans who watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There's a point where the main character is put in jail and he's put in solitary, and he ends up acting Lion King. Simba's interaction with Scar. It was Simba's interaction with Scar.
Scar, Sir Ravi and I didn't see you at the presentation of Simba. Oh, Mufasa, did I miss it? That's simply awful.
It was amazing. And then
that's the type of guy I'd be.
And then he made Amy his love interest out of mashed potatoes. And that was really entirely out of mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Real good, girl. Whoop, lost a booby. No matter. I'll just build another one. More mashed potatoes!
That's the more of the solitary confinement
so
torture.
Basically, your brain would break.
Yeah. I'm gonna. As it is, I'm already on the threshold. Just a little tip, and I'm diving in. Woo! Let's go. I've been waiting to be crazy my whole life.
I mean, I don't think so, because it's not fun. Like when you're going through it fucking sucks.
Sure. Just saying, as in, if you're already on the tightrope, get a little nudge, you'll be, woo, woo.
Oh my god. Okay, so on that note, like today, as I said, we're going to be talking about torture. So trigger warnings for everyone involved. Like if you're still going through some things, maybe this is an episode you want to skip.
Oh yeah, we're in a modern society where we actually have to say trigger.
Like, it's always just nice to let people know that, your episode or whatever you're producing or releasing might contain content that might trigger something for them.
I mean, that's nice, but it's modern.
You need to know well enough. You need to also know yourself well enough to know what triggers you. For example, like for me, it's like cancer stories.
Okay.
Right? Like I would appreciate the heads up that like, hey, this is what we're going to be talking about. So you're like, okay, cool. Thank you. Now I can mentally prepare myself to have this conversation and not, let my emotions get the better of me, or like not let.
They should create like a meme for the phrase trigger warning.
I think they already have.
Trigger warning.
Actually, I think they already have. If you go on Reddit or 9gag, you'll probably see it because those are pretty.
I've never been on Reddit. I've never been on 9gag.
Never been on Reddit?
What do I need to be on Reddit?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
If it is on Reddit, I probably already read it. And why do I need 9 things to make me gag?
One thing that's just...
Get out of here. Shindwe!
Anyway, so today we are going to be talking about
torture.
Yes, specifically the torture of the Moi era and what happened in Nyayo House.
We're going to learn about the Nyayo chambers.
Yes.
A space in which I don't think we've yet been allowed to go see.
Do you want to hear the stories those walls have to tell?
Yes.
The screams.
Do you know I've actually visited a torture space before?
Really?
Once, yeah, we were doing a trip to Rwanda on bus.
Oh.
So, of course, Rwanda, it's not torture. It's just a different story.
Genocide. It's just
it is torture because some of the stories they tell you, you're like, oh my God.
But it's also just killing.
But it's about the killing.
Yeah.
But we stopped when we were coming back, we stopped in Uganda. And in Uganda, we went to the Baganda Kingdom. And people don't know that there were stories of the Baganda Kingdom. So they're talking about how they took us to a space where, a lot of torturing happened during the meantime and that sort of thing. And they're showing the walls, like showing the spaces of like how much smaller than this, how like 50 people will be put in that space and just die of hunger and all those kind of things. It was very sad. I'd go back though. I like those things. I don't know why. A lot of history in them. Or maybe I'm the guy who would enjoy the torture. Cold air just whiffed the room, just.
Okay.
So yeah. Anyways, I've seen those spaces, and I think, my opinion, they create a lot of healing.
To open them up again,
Yes.
let people wander through.
And you know, some of those people who've been in those spaces, who've been touched in the spaces, unlike many other spaces, they are still alive. They're still talking. Let them come and talk about their history. Let them come and talk about what the pain they felt. Let them talk about the hurt they felt. And let's heal from it. Otherwise, all this talking about healing that
never
Kenya
gonna
does, we are brilliant talkers.
We
So we talk about all these things, about healing, about solving problems, but all we do is talk. And then we try and solve, and then that solving gets too political, and then it just goes to hell. So I would want those spaces to be open. I'd want, like, if one of the guys who was leading it was brave enough to come out and say, yeah, this is what we did in those torture halls. Yes, this is what we did. And no one is going to arrest them, but let them, like the Gashasha sort of system in Rwanda, let them come and talk.
or even what happened with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa.
Yeah. Let them come and speak of their experience. Let the people endure it and then forgive them.
Or rather, let them endure it and then decide. Like, don't make.
Decide, but what you're doing is you're giving these people the space. You're telling them, I'm not going to arrest you. I'm not going to put you in jail. But the people need to know.
True.
That's what you're saying.
So I think on the subject of like remembrance and making sure that these horrific acts and these horrific events are firmly entrenched in our national history. Today we're going to be talking about, as I said, the Nyayo torture chambers.
Yes.
I find it very weird. The Nyayo House is like a government building today. That people work in it every single day and just treat it like it's a normal thing.
Yeah, we've all been there.
But when what happened there is not normal.
No.
And
it's never fully been acknowledged, has it?
Yeah, it just feels weird to walk into that space and know that there are people who did not walk out.
Yeah.
And we're just not okay with it, but we're all pretending that it never happened. It's very weird to me. Is it weird to you?
Nope. It's a building. Buildings need to be used. Just open the lower spaces and make that a museum. And life is okay.
That'd be cool, actually.
Yeah.
It'd be very cool. Especially because the government seems to be doing a lot more like historical tourism type stuff. Like with the Uhuru Gardens and the...
Has that place finally been open?
No, but it looks really nice. Like on the inside, the landscaping is gorgeous.
Why can't they just open that space?
I don't know. Do you want like a joke reason or do you want like an actual theory?
Why don't you give me both?
So the joke reason is that I'm pretty sure like Ruto is trying his level best to figure out a way to get it renamed to Ruto Park. And until he can, like he's just going to keep stalling the production.
That's a good joke.
But the real reason I think they're not done. Like if you act, because on the expressway you can see into it and there's still like structures that haven't been finished. Some landscaping that still needs to be done.
Is the military still there?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't see.
Because I was thinking, which is a more of a cynical thought, like you're trying to delay it enough that it loses the scent of Uhuru and becomes the owned product of Ruto.
You see?
I think that's not a joke. I think it's true.
You see, my joke reason had a kernel of truth in it.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, by the way, happy 1 year of the Ruto presidency tomorrow. Before I forget. Happy 1 year.
It's been 1 year.
Tomorrow, yes. September
1
13th.
year down, 9 to go.
99. You're assuming he's going to win in 2027, or do you know something we don't know?
Yes, he's going to win in 2027.
At least pretend. At least pretend it's going to
Kenya,
be
we've had...
Otherwise, it's not really a democracy.
He's our fifth president.
Is it?
None of them have ever lost incumbents.
Yeah, it's because you have the power of the... No, we're getting sidetracked.
You have the power of the state.
Let's just...
And the state has the power to torture, and we bring it back.
Okay, nice. Okay, so what inspired me to talk about this today is that one of my friends... Hi, Simran.
Oh, Simran.
Yeah, she sent me a book or a document that was written by... Let me get it. If you see me looking down, it's because the iPad is down. By Friedrich Ebert Stiftung.
CH is Friedrich.
Friedrich Ebert Stiftung, or otherwise called STF.
Stiftung. Stiff.
Yes.
STIF.
Stiftung.
Yeah, I think I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Read some of his stuff.
And Citizens for Justice. I think it was written in like 2002. Because if this was written after 2010, there would have been a lot more. The analysis would have been different. You can just tell. And so we're going to be.
So I think this pre-post-election
I
violence.
think this is pre-post-election violence because there's a number of things they mentioned about how Moi used to govern, and the fact that they don't extend it to PEV suggests that maybe they didn't.
It hadn't yet happened.
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe it was the golden age of the Kibaki.
So what makes you think it was written in 2002?
Number one, the formatting of the document. Just take a look at it. There you go. And then number two, like that thing about PEV. They would have also talked about what's it called? In my opinion, for setting a story like this, they should have also talked about how the Moi presidency impacted the Kibaki presidency, and about how extrajudicial violence still continues under that presidency, but under a new name. They kind of just stop at Moi.
We can actually find when this was written.
I mean, I never did because I'm a hack and a fraud, but you're right. You have to Google it.
No, not even to Google it. Just small things. For example, I will not forget your work. We owe you. November 2003. Maina Kiai. This is when he was the chairman of the Kenya Human Rights Commission.
Oh, damn. Okay, so the name of this document, which I should have said at the very beginning, but if I'm editing this the way that I think I am, it probably already flashed on the screen. So the name of the document, anyway, for the people listening via audio, hi people, is We Lived to Tell the Tale.
Oh, jeez!
The Nyayo House story.
We lived
to tell the tale.
Should do like a reading of that.
I mean, there are actually a couple of paragraphs here that I was going to give you to read, eh?
Oh, yes, you'll give them to me and I'll read them with my voiceover voice. Them. Very sexy.
Oh, yes, I know exactly which bits you will have to read.
Right.
So first, we need to talk about the early Moi years. Moi ascended to power in 1978 and spent the early years of his reign kind of building the public support he knew he needed if he wanted to sustain the presidency. Because at that point, like, you're still reeling from the death of Kenyatta. Moi at the time was relatively unknown because he was Kenyatta's guy for foreign policy to represent him outside the country, so he never kind of was around. And also... the people in power, the people behind the throne, did not like him. So he also needed to establish some sort of...
There was a struggle.
Something with them.
But he was called the giraffe.
Because he could see.
Yes.
So now...
Greatest politician.
The authors of this document suggest, and I quote, that Moi also lacked the charisma and vision required to galvanize popular appeal.
Actually, that's true. You never think about it, that the guy lasted 24 years and he didn't really have charisma.
Really?
I'm watching him.
I really thought you would have disagreed with that.
No.
Because, like, how do you...
Have you watched his speeches?
I have. It's kind of boring, but, like, his speeches are always...
Okay, think of the charisma. I would say we've had 5 presidents.
Yeah, I think Ruto is perhaps the most charismatic of them.
I'd say Jomo Kenyatta. No, because Jomo Kenyatta achieved something none of them can ever achieve.
Okay.
He was, like, above.
Yeah.
He was, like, above human. The leopard sprint, the fly whisk, the harambe. He literally developed a cult of personality around him. He's the only president I think who managed to do that. So I'd say Jomo, Ruto, Jomo, Uhuru, Ruto. I'd say they're the same. Ruto and Uhuru are the same. Very different, but the same.
Okay, thank you. I was going to say it's very different appeals.
Yes.
Very different appeals, yeah.
Uhuru is more like, you guy, you're my guy.
Yeah, whereas...
Ruto is more like, hey, damn, how did you say that? And it's more like rags to riches. Ruto is more like rags to riches. Uhuru is more like, I'm rich, but I feel you.
Okay, so hang on.
And then Kibaki, and then Moi.
Okay, so you're basically saying like Moi had no riz, as the kids say. Like,
Yeah,
I recently learned
riz is
charisma. It's short for charisma.
Do you know the other day I was beaten by my nieces, my
Yeah.
niece and my cousin, because we were watching Grease, and then they have a character called Rizzo, and they call her Riz. So I was telling them, oh yeah, this is where Riz came from. This is where Riz came from.
No.
And they looked at me really badly, and they were like, no, Riz is short for charisma. But I was like, why not Kariz then? Why not Kariz?
No, because it's Riz. Like,
Why not Kar?
I don't know. But we do need to take a break because I can only record 30 minutes at a time. But I'll be back. So as we were saying, these the authors for that paper basically say that it was his lack of personal charisma that led to Moy needing to go basically do a goodwill tour around the country to make sure everyone knew his name, knew his face, and knew that he was the guy you needed to call if you ever had a problem.
Do you like he like pioneered stuff? You know, he like did gabion building, like for climate change and control of soil erosion. There's videos of him like going, you know, the Thomas Sankara thing of like going and working with the people. Like he did that.
Wow, that's very propaganda-y. Well done.
Propaganda is beautiful. Why do you
Well
look like you're
done.
judging propaganda?
I'm not judging it, but like we all know there's good propaganda and then there's bad propaganda.
Propaganda is propaganda.
Right? Like
It's like people.
just
It is both good. It is bad. It's
no,
just
but there's good and there's bad. Like for example, it took like it's just now that China's like getting the propaganda right. But you're so popular. Okay, and we're back. Seasons have changed. Lighting has gone.
Seasons of change.
Okay, you ready? Because we have not much time before the sunlight tells us that it's time to stop.
Go. I'm not gonna stop you too many times.
Okay, so in essence, these guys also argue that his goodwill campaign thing was ultimately unsuccessful because literally a year after he assumed the presidency, revolts began against his rule. The first were led by students because by the 1970s to early 80s, Kenya's opposition politicians were basically the students, specifically in the University of Nairobi.
The hub for political discourse.
Yes, specifically NUSO, the Nairobi University Students Organization, was that hub in particular.
Yes.
And in 1979, I think, they were disbanded. But it wasn't just the students. Soon after, Kenyan workers began striking in protest against the regime. And by 1982, the coup, Moy had began to realize that he could not stem the rising tide of criticism. Something needed to be done, something drastic, and the coup gave him the perfect cover. So, what do you know about the coup? Because I know nothing, and this episode will not go into depth.
The 1982 coup.
Yes, the 1982 coup.
I know that it was August 1st,
Yes.
1982.
Yes.
It was planned for weeks before. I know that Hezekiah Ochuka,
Yes.
a second, what's that role? Second
So I have the names.
Yeah,
I can help you with the names.
brigadier. Not even brigadier is big deal. What was it? What's his role?
I don't know. I just have their names.
I have it here somewhere.
So the names were Hezekiah Ochuka, Pancras Oteo,
Yes, Pancras Oteo,
Patrick Lumumba,
Yeah.
and Odira Ojode.
Yeah, he was. Oh yes, he was a senior private.
Yes.
That is like the second smallest rank.
Before you become an officer, yeah?
Yeah, as in it's like, bro, you've not even come out of the womb, sort of thing.
And you're out here causing
small
trouble.
time. But he was said to be a very passionate person. I think he also said to feel like he was carrying the wave of, you know, famous people who were doing coups around that time. He felt he had that personality.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he did not.
He did not. So
It lasted all of a few hours.
yeah, so according to FES, the coup was fueled by frustration at the obvious corruption of the dictatorship, not just Moy's, but Kenyatta's. So it was more that Moy not only inherited Kenyatta's successes and Kenyatta's power, but he also inherited his problems.
Yeah.
And people's frustrations with the administration. And it literally took a year for people to realize that the change of hands does not change the regime. And as a result of the coup, Moy used the coup tension, the post-coup tension, to launch one of the most brutal crackdowns in Kenyan history.
It was really interesting. First of all, that coup. I mean, it was all that nice words you've given me, great. Kizungu mingi. However, it started at 3 a.m.
It was very
By
weird.
10
a.m.
it was done. You should watch. There's this show called Clean the Airwaves, where they interview many characters. They interview, I think I don't know if it's them who interviewed this guy, but the pilot. So Hezekiah Chuka and Okumu by 10, they're like, they had called Nanyuki, please, start bombing. Nanyuki's like, Z. They decide they're not part of it, as in the guys, I think one of them was called Mohammed something, the generals, they were already like pushing through, because these were young guys. They were just drinking on the streets. They were not actually doing anything. So now they go and they try and commandeer a plane, an Air Force plane. But because they are just senior privates,
They can't do that.
no, they've never experienced what real G-force is.
What?
So there was this whole series of some of the soldiers would come and they commandeered I don't know if this was Ochuka, but the others,
Okay.
other collaborators,
Okay.
they tried to commandeer these fighter jets in Nanyuki to get them to come and bomb, I think, one of the key stations in Nairobi. I think the Voice of Kenya area. So these guys get on the point, they put the guns to these pilots, and these are expert pilots who have, like, this is their thing.
This is my shit.
This is what they do.
Yeah.
They're at the top. They're
Yeah.
the elite.
Yeah.
So these pilots are put at gunpoint in the thing. All they do, they make the plane
Oh,
do
shit, that's brilliant.
loop-de-loops over the head.
That's so
out.
cool.
Then they go somewhere in the desert and drop the bombs. Somewhere far away, and then they said, "Look, we've dropped the bombs where you've gone." As in, these guys were so unequipped. Then they tried to commandeer and run to Tanzania. That failed. Chuka was arrested, and yeah, drama happened.
So, for the 6 months that followed the, as you call it, drama, Kenya was effectively put under the rule of the army. The Kenya Air Force was disbanded.
Yep.
Both
All of them.
Kariithi and Naivasha maximum security prisons were transformed into giant concentration camps.
Yep.
Their words, not mine.
Who said
I
that?
am very them. That is their language.
Their report.
Yeah, because again, the word concentration
That's
camp
extreme.
is very,
Extreme.
Yeah, so the fact that they said it says a lot. Because they're German.
It's like it's extent, but
organization. They know what they're talking about when it comes to concentration
I feel
camps.
those words are a bit much, but it was extreme. And then you're either green or red.
Yes.
You had that. Like, that's how the system worked. Like, if you're green, you'd be released. You
If
can
you're
go
red.
back. If you're red, then problems for you, man.
So, and in these prisons, university students, academics, soldiers, politicians, and other treason subjects were basically just tortured while also being interrogated.
Yes.
The Nairobi and Kenyatta universities were closed for 1 year, and upon reopening were divided into several faculty administrative units so as to break up the solidarity that once used to define the University of Nairobi.
Yeah.
Moy also believed the left-wing student movement connected to the coup was trying to undermine his rule. And so he continued to cut through the lines of solidarity within the student movement and within Kenya's left-wing politics.
Yeah.
I think the one that perhaps for me was the most troubling / worrying was when he disbanded the student organization of the University of Nairobi.
Oh yeah, that
And
happened.
then he created welfare units under ethnic groups. So he basically ethnicized the campus.
Yep.
And it's the thing of if that happened in the 80s, right? And that's probably what's still going on right now. Although I don't
Not
know.
really,
I'm
but
not a
yeah.
UON student. I don't know. But if that's what happened in the 80s, can you imagine what the consequences of that?
Made some of the biggest leaders you see today
It makes a lot of sense.
benefited from that.
Yeah. Also, there were students who lost their scholarships if you were seen to be at a
be a
protest.
part of it.
Not clapping
Nope.
or celebrating. They're just seen there. If you happen to stop on your way out of class and you were seen there, that's that you lost your scholarship. As one lawyer, Nganga Thiongo, recalls, in 1985. He says that he was being watched by PLO Lumumba, which is weird to me because isn't PLO Lumumba the democracy guy? I get the people change, but
Yeah, schools had snitches.
really?
Yeah.
Do you think that's why he is the way he is now?
I mean, he's accusing him of being a snitch. That's basically what he's saying.
Pretty much, yeah. That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so a few days later after Nganga Thiongo was spotted at this protest in 1985, he received a letter at midnight to the effect that he had engaged in some treasonous activity that were endangering the university, and that as a result his scholarship had been withdrawn and that he should leave campus.
Wow.
People protested this gross incursion because he wasn't the only one that received this letter, and those students were arrested. Thiongo managed to escape arrest until the police followed him to his rural home.
Oh, yeah.
To the bed where he slept.
Yes.
And tried to arrest him.
Absolutely.
He would remain in hiding for 4 months. For it literally just happened to like clap.
That's how extreme it was, by the way. At a rally.
It wasn't even a rally. It was two students being like, hey, it was two students complaining to the University of Nairobi administration, asking them, why are you capitulating to the government? Like, they're students asking a legitimate question. Like, that's it.
They felt like that the schools were radicalizing the students.
But, okay.
So there were even certain books that the students were not allowed to read. They were not allowed to be taught like Marxism.
Actually, thank you for bringing that up. You know there was a book ban, like Moi instituted a book ban.
Yeah.
He went to every university library and removed all the books on or by Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, Karl Marx, Che Guevara, Malcolm X,
any revolutionary.
Francis Fanon, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Maina wa Kenyatta,
by that time Ngugi was gone.
Castro.
Yeah.
They were removed because, and I quote, they were lurking in wait to ambush young, innocent Kenyan minds.
Let me tell you,
their subversive
for the longest time, now it's changed because our society is different. But for the longest time, the minds and the of university students were like the ones politicians fear the most because they have the energy and anger to do something.
Exactly.
So you don't want them reading about Marxism. You don't want their teachers teaching them about revolution because they actually may try. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So maybe Vaseline.
Vaseline.
Okay. I think you like this one. Kariithi, what's on your face?
What's on my face? I have glasses, nose, eyes.
Are there like
amazing smile.
Are there some facial hair on your face?
Oh, I got beard.
You got a beard. You know, in the Moi era, that beard would have been deemed subversive.
Even my dreads, I think, would have been problematic. Even my dreads, I think, would have been
everything about you would have been deemed subversive.
And so, am I a revolutionary?
According to the way you look, yes.
But am I a revolutionary?
You know what? No, you are the most.
I'm the most what?
Nicest person.
I'm the nicest person in the world. I'm a teddy bear with claws.
So according to the FES, with what?
FES. I'm a teddy bear with claws.
Okay. The Friedrich Albert
Stoiberg.
Whatever, Stilbert, so still what? Again, I'm a hack and a fraud. And I'm quoting from them, and I quote: "In its bid to tighten socio-political control, the Moi regime often went to ridiculous extremes. For instance, after he expressed displeasure with the keeping of beards, calling it communist fashion, it suddenly became almost criminal to be seen with one."
It sounds like all my uncles.
In its bid to basically, there was even a story about this guy, this district commissioner, who had seen one of their people with beards, and he directed police to go shave him, like on the spot.
You know that happens. That sometimes still happens to like guys with dreads. Yeah, if you're suspected of being a radical dreadlock person, you'll be taken and the cops will cut your hair.
This is why I color my hair, because I dread...
They would know that they know.
Exactly.
Let me tell you.
My hair is colored.
Even me, they know. That is just bullshit. That guy is too big to be a revolutionary. Leave him alone.
What?
Yeah.
What?
But they know.
It has nothing to do with your belief.
They have
revolutionary.
Police and all those guys have eyes for people who they feel are problematic, and they have stereotypes. For example, I told you I've never been stopped and frisked at an airport. Why? I'm short, I'm bigger. You know, they think this is a rich man or this is a rich man's kid or this is what, even though I'm not really. But it's fine. When you look at the stereotype, you have to be like 6 foot. You have to have the darker lips. You have to talk in a certain way. Those ones will always be arrested, whether you're rich or poor. Me, I don't look arrestable.
I think same here. It's a fact of like...
Yeah, you look too bougie.
Yeah, like my entire vibe.
And you open with your English and people be like, hey.
Okay, wait. Actually, I have a really funny story about this. Sorry for the tangent. So, like, I was at the Journey to the Baobabs Festival in Kilifi, and I wanted to get some water, right? So they gave me a cup, and I was like, hey, could I please have some ice? And I stood there, literally just doing this, absent-mindedly, because I was just waiting. You have the cup in your hand.
So you're just playing with it.
I was just playing with it. But my boyfriend is like 18. That is the bougiest you have ever looked in your life. Because I had the full Karen stance, a straight resting bitch face, just tapping my glass waiting for ice. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Oh my god, that was so...
It was not intentional.
It was not intentional. It was just sometimes you're so bougie, you can't help it. If you're not checking it constantly, you're just there like, please.
Yep.
Anyway, so I'm sorry for you and your beard. It would not have ended well. The two of you would have been forced to part, to split hairs.
Wow, you think you've done well there.
No, that was actually a pretty poor pun. Anyway, so now I kind of want us to move to the Kenya movement.
Okay.
Because after Moi tightened control on the country after the coup, after he used basically the coup as an excuse to get whatever that he wanted, something very interesting happened. So despite him targeting the very explicit rebels in his country, you have a lot of people who start to feel resentment and frustration.
That's what always happens.
And you have the birth of the Kenya movement, because you can never really kill a revolution. Not when the idea exists. Not when
only
hope
suppress.
exists. All you can do is suppress it. You're right. So, this is how they describe the movement, like what happened next. And I quote: "It is also obvious that Kenya emerged from the rich tradition of progressive, organized leftist movement in Kenya." As a fellow leftist, as bougie as I am, it's nice to see you have a strong history of that.
Okay.
The tragedy of the Kenya crackdown is that it provided the Moi lackeys with the perfect opportunity to destroy its greatest enemy, the organized leftist movement in Kenya.
Okay.
Beyond that, we know that Kenya became an excuse for Moi and his cohorts to throw anybody they hated and anybody who had as much as uttered the words democracy or human rights into the dungeons. The big success of Kenya is that it finally exposed the excesses of a paranoid, despotic regime in a manner that nothing else could have possibly done. End quote. And now here is where we get to torture and torture at Nyayo House. Almost as soon as the crackdown for the Kenya movement began, people started being thrown in Nyayo House. I'm assuming you guys have all been to Nyayo House. I'm assuming people understand, a tall yellow building comes to mind when people think of Nyayo House.
Yep.
But if that's not what's going on in your mind, please Google it. It is a tall yellow building in the middle of Nairobi.
Like half of the government offices.
Pretty much. It's fucking terrifying. Because I've had the privilege of riding in the VIP elevators a couple of times.
Wow.
And because I'm sorry, I'm not going to take the stairs.
Because you're bougie. No, there are elevators for normal people.
Yeah, but then they stop at odd floors. Like the VIP ones are the ones that stop at every floor.
Look at you.
Point is, I've used those elevators, right? And it wasn't until I read this that it clicked that those were the lifts that the tortured individuals were put into to take into the 25th and 26th floor to be interrogated.
Those are the two floors.
Yeah. Like, it's weird. Again, it's so weird to walk into that building knowing this history and just... Why aren't we commemorating it? Why aren't we remembering it? Why aren't we doing something to, I don't know, immortalize or...
Maybe it'll come with the next generation.
I don't think it's going to be brutal. It has to be our generation.
That's what I meant by the next generation. Like,
so basically,
those people lived it.
Oh, so when we become 60?
When we become like 50 and we're now ruling, we'll be like, for healing, we need to commemorate the Nyayo torture chambers.
While we simultaneously ignore all of our mistakes.
While we ignore exactly.
That's how it's done. That's how it's done. You highlight
then
the
now
mistakes
2 generations down from us, they will be apologizing for our mistakes.
Because that's the way it is. Yep. I'm sorry to the future children of Kenya. You're going to be cleaning up our mess, just as we are cleaning up the messes of our...
It's just literally half of life is just cleaning up messes. 3/4 of life is just cleaning up messes.
It kind of sucks, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so, basically, like I said, the tortures actually happened in the basement, where there were a lot of different cells. There was one specific cell that was called the swimming pool. Do you know what that means? You've heard of this before.
I've never heard of it, actually.
Really? So in this cell...
For the first time,
I know,
she's mentioned something about African history
that you know nothing
that I
about.
know nothing about. Wow.
Anyway, it's called swimming pool because the floor of the cell would be flooded with cold water, and then they pump hot water in, and then they just kind of like leave you there. And eventually, because you'd just be tired and you'd be trying to hang on to something, but you'd slip and you'd fall. You'd fall into this freezing cold water, and you'd experience hypothermia. And just get really, really sick.
That's serious torture.
Yeah, it is. They were not fucking around. Do you actually want to know who taught them?
Who?
Who taught our guys how to torture?
Please enlighten me.
Actually, why don't you guess?
CIA,
No.
USSR,
No.
the Germans,
Imagine? No.
the Israelis.
That would have been cool. I actually think if the Israelis had taught us, we would be a lot more deadly. But no.
Who else exists in the world?
The Romanians.
The Romanians.
Yeah, the torturers at Nyayo House were taught by Romanians.
Okay.
Who may have then in turn been taught by the British and the Americans. Because everything that those fucking countries do always ends up ruining life for the rest of us down here.
Yeah.
But hey-ho, we move on. So let's get into some stories about torture. And I'm going to give you the iPad, and I want you to kind of like read the notes that I have written. The first person we're going to talk about is a guy called Nyayo Kariithi. He was then aged 28 and was a waiter at a tourist hotel in Diani. He was arrested in July 1988 on suspicion of being part of the Kenya movement. And after works of the banned authors were found in his house. He was arrested in Diani and kept in a police station uncharged for 8 days. Here is what happened next. You can start with the quotation marks. Here we go.
I will begin with the quotation marks.
Let me put on my mic.
Can I find the quotation marks?
But I thought you were the one that does not need glasses. Now that you have glasses, you should have kept
That is one quotation mark. I found the end of the quotation mark. Now I'm trying to find the beginning. Okay, fine.
The third bullet point, yeah, somewhere there.
I was blindfolded, handcuffed, and taken to an airstrip where I was put into an aircraft. The plane flew round and round, and after about 45 minutes, the blindfold was removed. They asked me to look down and tell them what I could see. Though I could see the waves in the sea below, I lied to them that I could see nothing, as this was my first time to be in an aircraft. They told me that we were in the center of the sea, and therefore I should disclose all about Kenya and myself. They also wanted me to tell them where the organization printed its publications and who the authors were. When I maintained that I did not know anything about the movement, they threatened to throw me overboard. A struggle then ensued when they strangled me and I lost consciousness. I came to at the port police station.
You remember, he had not been charged with a crime. And this is what they're doing to him, and he had not been charged with a crime. It's very Augusto Pinochet. Like the whole, like, just threatening to throw you out of a helicopter.
Yeah. Gonna put you in the ocean, let the small sharks and big sharks and fishes deal with you.
Yeah.
Either that or the waves will deal with you.
Either way, you're not surviving that fall.
If you're dropped in the middle of the ocean, even if you survive the fall, in fact, you hope that you don't survive the fall.
You hope you die.
Because if you land in the middle of the ocean,
like, how are you going to survive this?
You're dying. Unless some lucky boater just finds you,
but that's
which is so unlucky. It's so unlikely. You're dead.
Right? And that even works for the torturers, because technically they didn't kill you. They left you alive. Whether or not you died is beyond them. But they gave you a chance. They left you alive.
Yep.
Right? They can say that. But like, this is the kind of things that was happening to you if you were found with even a hint of anti-government propaganda or materials, if you were deemed to have any anti-government sentiment in any way, shape, or form. So now, as we work our way to the next story, allow us to take a bit of a break.
Oh, yeah.
So that we can take care of business.
Business.
And then we'll be back. Hi guys, I just finished recording or editing the video, and this is it. This is all the footage we have, despite us recording for like 4 hours. This is it. The rest of it just exists in audio, so unfortunately this is the last you'll see of our lovely faces. This might be the last you'll see of Kariithi's face on this podcast for a while, but it's okay. He'll be back in like 52 weeks. But the rest of this episode will be available on an audio format. Please continue to listen. Thank you so much for engaging, and don't forget to make good choices. Okay, bye.